Hi, guys. Welcome back. Imagine walking 10,000 steps or roughly 5 miles a day for a whole year. And imagine your family betting against you that you're not going to be able to accomplish this feat. And imagine accomplishing it, losing a boatload of weight, and then being ho hum about it because you enjoyed it and it really wasn't that difficult at all. Well, that story is a true story, and it's Wayne Cooney's story. So, the YouTuber today that we're going to be listening to is Wayne Cooney and his story of walking 10,000 steps each and every day for a whole year. Check this out.
Hey everyone, 1 year. It's been an entire year since I decided to start walking a minimum of 10,000 steps per day. Feels, in a strange sort of way, I'm really excited, but I'm not. If you had have asked me at the very start of this journey over a year ago, I would have said it was an amazing thing to achieve if I had did it for a year, and actually all my children, including my wife's, all bet against me that I wouldn't do it. And ironically, it's weird because I don't feel like there's a need for a big celebration or woohoo or pat on the back, because truthfully, it honestly wasn't that hard. Were there some difficult days, due to weather and, my body not maybe feeling so good? Yeah, but, everyone has less than perfect days every day. And so, if you have a good attitude and the right mindset, you push through it. And anyway, really happy I did. I'm going to continue on with this journey.
Check this out. The reason that it's so easy is because once you start walking for 15 to 21 days, you actually get addicted to it. You're able to think better. You're able to breathe better. You're able to calm down. You're able to solve problems, and you're able to be healthier while you're doing it. So here's the interesting thing. When you look at it like, I'm going to walk every single day for 1 year, it's daunting. And your family members are going to think you're going to fail because they think that sounds impossible. But like I said, once you start, you end up loving it and it becomes the easiest thing in the world. And I think that's what Wayne's tripping out about here. Wayne, calm down.
I'm not going to give the exact numbers because I don't script this stuff or whatever, and so I do have it over here, but I can't really see it so good. But it's over 500,000 calories, active calories burnt primarily from walking in 1 year. I believe it's over 2,100 miles, over 3,400 kilometers, and it's about 4.4 million steps in that year. And I started at 366 or 69 pounds, something like that. And I'm down to 306, so that means 60 or a little over 60 pounds. And I didn't really change a diet. I didn't really do anything other than walk, and I did some swimming in the summer and stuff.
I love that he's so ho-hum about it. In case you didn't hear, rewind. The guy went from 360 plus to just a couple of pounds over 300, losing 60 pounds simply by walking every day. And the magical words, in case you missed them, he didn't really change his diet or anything. And oh, by the way, a couple of times he swam, okay? What he didn't tell you is that, yes, there are bad days where maybe you feel under the weather and literally can't walk. Maybe there's rainy or snowy days where it's nearly impossible. But a lot of times, even if you're in a bad mood, go on your walk. You'll end up feeling better halfway through it.
If you're asking, do I recommend this for people? And, the answer is very simply yes. Particularly if you are someone who is, significantly overweight or out of shape or whatever you want to call it. To do, for me, it was, I was going to say about a 90-ish minute a day. commitment, which really isn't that hard. I got most of it out of the way in the morning, before work and before you get busy and distracted with other things. And then I would try, when I was at work to walk, after lunch, which there's definitely benefits to. I think it actually helps your digestion.
I was trying not to stop it there, but I paused it anyway. But oh my God, tell me that doesn't sound like walk, talk, vent. I urge you guys, walk for a half hour to 45 minutes before your day and before work even starts. You slowly but surely start to enjoy walking so much that you'll naturally want to take part in extra credit. And when Wayne here talks about walking at his lunch period, he's literally eliminating a good portion of the calories from his lunch. It's a beautiful idea. He's doing extra credit. You're starting to do extra credit. Just stick with it. Even if it takes you a year, you guys know as well as I do, years go by like this as we get older. I'm so excited about this, Wayne. Congratulations, buddy.
Helps weight loss, going for a walk after every meal. And whatever I was short for my steps, and often I wasn't. Often I didn't need to do anything when I got home. But if I did, I did. Not a big deal. So there's a lot of pros for this because it's a low stress activity, meaning on your body and your joints. And considering I was closer to 400 pounds than 300, my heart took a pounding at the beginning, but you can acclimate into it, and that's really what happens. I'm not twice as fast, but close from the first times that I was going around the neighborhood. And and it's something you don't need a decent pair of shoes. That's about it. And so it's great. And then if you were actually in great shape and you were at the gym and did all that stuff, I would still recommend the walking. Maybe you don't need to do 10,000 steps a day, but a nice walk in the morning or the evening or whenever you have the time to do it, there's a real mental benefit for it. It just makes you you think better, you clear your head, and the interaction that you have with outside in nature and the things that you see. I basically met people on my neighborhood that I've been here for, I guess, over 15 years or whatever it is. I knew them but didn't know them, and some people I didn't even know existed, and they were kind and supportive. I want to thank my wife and my kids and other family and friends that directly supported me doing this, and and you guys as well.
If I was a super emotional guy, I would cry here because what he's saying is basically the things that I tell you guys every day. And you know how I found out about him? Through experience. When you start walking for a year, pretty soon you see the same characters out and about every day. It's easy to say, hey, good morning, right? And you start to feel a camaraderie with these people, even if you don't get to know them, right? You're a fellow walker, and these are your neighbors. And sometimes they do things with their house, and it gives you inspiration, I love that he brought up the mental aspect. A lot of my venters that walk with me every day are really excited that their clothes are fitting loose. But I think if you asked a lot of them, I think there's a lot of problems they're able to tackle while they're on their walk. If you're dealing with stress, if you're dealing with depression, if you're obviously dealing with, a weight issue and you want to get your weight down and your health up, join us at Walk Talk Vent. We walk every day. Wayne here is a perfect example of how just walking can really change your life.
The whole point of me making these videos a year ago was primarily for my own consumption, to see and track and be able to go back and look and see how I felt and if I actually would continue to do it. And but getting so many subscribers and so many kind people, giving advice and kind of cheering along essentially, it kept me accountable and made it easy to get by. So, big thanks to everyone, including, I got to tell you something really cool that happened. So I work at a transportation company and we have a big warehouse. And I would try, at lunchtime, because I have to go out and check things in the warehouse anyway. So I would try to make a kind of a brisk walk around, the farthest outside perimeter of the warehouse possible. And I've never talked about what I was doing at work with anyone. And, I think people saw that, I was starting to walk with purpose and do things. And I would take, the first lap would be this outside lap. And, the guys, when the warehouse were full, I think they knew something was up and I was doing, this for a reason. And they kind of kept me, they kept a nice little aisle for me to go around. So
They're like, hey, boss, I think that Wayne's got some issues. What do you mean? Well, he walks for lunch. He goes real far away and now he's losing a lot of weight. No, I think this is awesome, guys. This just goes to show you, look at the smile on Wayne's face here. He started walking at lunch, regardless of what people thought of him. Imagine seeing your 360 go down to 350, 340, 330, and it's all because of these little fun walks you're doing. Because let's face it, Wayne loves his walks. You can see it in his face.
Thanks for them for noticing and being kind to do something like that. So anyway, hope everyone else is doing real well. I'm gonna incorporate some dieting and some other exercise, probably some anabolic lifting, and gonna continue to walk and hopefully a year from now I'm in better shape, feel better, might look a little better too. I guess I wouldn't say, I don't think my appearance has changed dramatically. I feel if you looked at me from front on, there isn't a tremendous amount of a difference, but if I turn sideways, I definitely think, I'm definitely narrower, I guess is the right word. So I'm not gonna lie, there's a bit of vanity that goes along with being able to wear smaller clothes and maybe at some point, even a year from now, get into even nicer clothes. I'm still over 300 pounds, so it limits your options. But anyway, I'll stop because I think I'm kind of rambling now. But anyway, take care, everyone. Be safe, and we'll catch y'all sometime soon.
Guys, you got to go to Wayne Cooney's YouTube channel and subscribe. Let him know how proud we are of him. I think it's just awesome. Wayne, I think you might have just given my viewers a real big lift. Guys, it's just a matter of time, whether it happens at day 90, day 150, day 300, or day 365. It is going to happen. So rejoice, be happy, go get your shoes. Let's go for a walk. Good morning, venters. I hope you're having a wonderful day. It's kind of a shame, but I have to turn my phone on silent because otherwise I will literally get like 20 phone calls in a row. And it's really irritating because I don't know how it happens, but somehow right when I just pick up my phone early in the morning, I start to get like so many telemarketing calls. And it's never a guy or gal from America, which really irritates me. It's always somebody from India. I don't know if you guys know this, but when George W. Bush, when he was president, one of the things he did was he started this national do not call list. And at first it was like this wonderful thing because all of us that were getting hit up by telemarketers all of a sudden no longer got hit up by telemarketers. But all the companies did was started sending their telemarketing needs offshore to places like India, Pakistan, and different areas like that, right? So now you still get just as many calls, if not more than you used to, but instead of an American guy making an American wage, now you've got somebody in India, and oh, by the way, they're not trying to sell you some shoddy product that you don't need, which was the problem that we used to have back in the day with telemarketers. Now they try to get your private information so they can steal your identity. 90% of the time, it's somebody from India that's pretending that they're Mark from down the street, and it's abusive, and I just can't believe that there's nothing they can do. There's these companies where they will get phone numbers. It's called spoofing numbers, and one company can literally use thousands of phone numbers a day. So when they call you, instead of scam likely, your phone will say the name of a bank in your neighborhood just down the street, right? So it'll say Chase Bank or Bank of America or Banner Hospital, or it'll say some company that, trust me, sounds familiar to you. You pick up the phone and it's not Mark from down the street. Oh, almost fell there. It's not Mark from down the street. It's somebody in India, and it's just irritating to know that what they do 24/7 is make phone calls on these spoofed numbers so that they can scam Americans. And they don't scam young Americans that are with it. They scam elderly Americans for every penny they have. And once again, it's just like, golly, every time this country does any type of law or rule, the only person it ever hurts are law-abiding citizens and companies. The bad companies, they just move on and find a way to affect you in a different way, shape, or form. And that's my vent for this morning. Now, let's talk about some positive things. And that vent was off the cuff because it just happened. And man, if you guys saw how many phone calls I got daily, it's abuse. I get like 35 phone calls, and they're all when I'm trying to work. Oh, well, Jesse, why don't you just turn off your phone's volume and block those numbers? They spoof an unlimited number of numbers, and I need to have my phone on. What if some family member were to call me or some friend were to call me? I don't want to punish myself from my own cell phone. It's awful. Bring back American telemarketers. God, if there's ever a time when we need young men and women to have a good paying job in this country, it's now. Let's get rid of telemarketers from India and all these companies that provide spoof numbers, because obviously all they do is lead to us being miserable and having our identity stolen. And let's go ahead and let's bring back telemarketing to this country. That would instantly create 3 million jobs, by the way. Okay, so here's some good news, guys. Check this out. I read these both, and I knew, I was like, oh, I'm going to talk about this one, and then I read the other, and I was like, ooh, I'm going to talk about this too. Yeah, good news. All right, so check this out. On March 7th, a history teacher known as Miss O, her name is Lillian Orlick, she died. She passed away, unfortunately, but she lived a long, healthy life into her mid-90s. She worked 67 years in the Virginia school system, retiring at the age of 89. In her will, she left $1 million to the Prince William schools, and in many cases we found out she was the student's favorite teacher, period, let alone history teacher. But she ended up leaving $1 million to the Prince William School. Check this out. She never married. That's why she was Miss O, not Mrs. O. Never had any children. And she was known as being extremely frugal. That is freaking awesome, right? Now here's the thing though. When I hear stories like that, it makes me feel good, but it also makes me feel sad. I don't know if you guys remember a couple months ago, I said that a lot of times it's our goal as people to retire as millionaires. But there's one flaw with retiring as a millionaire, guys. That flaw is that as we get older, the things that we would love to spend our money on when we're young as a quote-unquote millionaire, they don't really matter to us anymore when we get older. And Miss O probably had a relatively lonely life as she aged because, number one, no children, never married, which leads me to believe that she was probably single, right? And that is a super lonely life to live. And when you leave the school that you worked at, $1 million in your will, and it was very nice. She was basically saying that she left the $1 million to the school because she was never married, because she had no children. Therefore, the school was her family. So again, beautiful donation. Don't want to take anything away from it, but there's a lot of people, men and women, that are aging in today's society. And they're still young, but they're starting to age, right? They're going from their 20s to their 30s. And a lot of these men and women think that they don't want a child, or they don't want to get married, and they don't want to starting their families. They'd rather really get further along in their career. Again, many of us have this dream to retire as millionaires. But do you realize, based on a teacher's salary, more than likely Miss Orlich worked probably the last 15 or 20 years of her 67-year career for free? Now think about that. During those last 20 years, she probably got some annual bumps to her salary, right? She probably looked at her not her 401k, but teachers have the teacher retirement system. So she probably looked at her pension on a monthly or yearly basis to see how well she was doing, right? And then she probably realized as she got older that it's probably not the coolest thing not to get married and not to have children. And don't get me wrong, she might have been in a situation where just there were no suitors. Maybe she had no interest. Maybe she loved being single and alone. Funny thing is, all of her friends well, she didn't have any family, literally none, but all of her friends from the school said that she was known as being frugal. So in other words, the things that we talk about, right? Can you save your money, and instead of buying stuff on yourself, can you save money for your future so you can retire with some money? You want to retire with money so you have the ability to stay out of poverty as you retire, right? But again, all these dreams that we have of retiring as millionaires seem really silly to me. How many times did she go to the principal or the school board and try to get a raise through the years? Maybe none, maybe multiple times, right? But when we get to the point where we're working the last decade or two of our lives for free, number one, it just goes to show you that if you love your job and you love the people you work with, you never work a day in your life, So that's a good sign. So there's lots of good signs here, but there's also a little bit of a negative sign. If you're in your 20s and 30s and listening to this and think that you can just wait on your family and one day you'll get it in your 30s, right? You never know what tomorrow brings. There is nothing bad about starting a family and getting married, right? There's nothing wrong if you end up staying single and never getting married. Holy moly, 4 munchkin dogs barking at me. But I think there's a sadness there. There's a happiness, right? Because all of a sudden, these Prince Wales schools, these Prince William schools in the Virginia school system, they're getting $1 million, but you know what they're going to do with that $1 million? Probably something silly. They started a scholarship in the teacher's name, right? So instead of this going towards books or, immediately for the students, they're having it go towards scholarships, which is good. But again, that $1 million is probably going to be gobbled up pretty quickly by scholarships to universities where, they're going to give kids degrees in stuff that's not even going to get them a job in many cases, right? Stuff that they could have gotten a job without it on their resume, period. So it's not that I'm against it. I think it's totally beautiful, and it's a totally beautiful story. But it just goes to show you that if one of your goals is to retire a millionaire, just remember, when you're elderly, your brain does not think anywhere like it does when you're in your 20s and 30s. So they sell everybody this dream of, hey, save your money, put your money into a pension, have your money go into a 401k that goes into the stock market so you can retire a millionaire. It's silly. No 80-year-old is going out, other than maybe Hugh Hefner types. No 80-year-old is going out and buying themselves a Ferrari. No 80-year-old is going out and getting themselves a horde of women or living the nightlife, right? As we age, we just want to be home watching TV, going to bed at 8 or 9 in the evening, and it's just crazy. If you're a person and you're of retirement age and you have money, give it to your family while you're still alive. It might change their life. I see so many parents, they watch as their family struggles, thinking they're doing something good by not helping them. But the reality is you're going to end up dying with $1 million in the bank, which means you're going to be working the last 10 or 15 years of your life for free. Which leads me to another point. That's why people should not be angry at billionaires. They have been working for free for forever. Think about this. If you had $1 billion, which is 1,000 millions, right? If you had that money, if you really wanted to, would you ever have to work again? No, it's plenty of money. So when you have these billionaires, right, like Jobs and like Zuckerberg and like Warren Buffett, God, Warren Buffett hasn't had to make money for the last 30 years of his life, yet him and his partner that just passed away not too long ago, they're both still doing, appearances in front of cameras at age 99 and 100. Guys, they've been great at telling people how to make money, right? They believe in investing in companies like Coca-Cola and AT&T, companies that are going to be here forever, Procter & Gamble. So they give great advice. But nobody ever talks about the fact that these guys have been working the last 30 or 40 of their years of their life for free. Again, do we need billionaires? Of course, billionaires make the world go round, right? But Elon Musk could retire now and he would still never have to work a day in his life. So there's nothing wrong with working if you enjoy it. But there is something wrong with hoarding money because you're not going to enjoy using it when you get older. It's just not really in old people's DNA. God, I think Bill Gates, if you look at him, he wears like a $70 watch that any Tom, Dick, or Harry could buy. He doesn't dress extravagantly. He probably owns a couple Mercedes, right? But they never really show him in front of his Lamborghini or anything. So Bill Gates is probably working for free. And what do you buy somebody that's rich? You can't buy them anything. They have everything they need, right? Your gift would just be a waste of your money, And then if you're super, super rich, not only are you working for free, but you have to wonder, does everybody in my life like me because of me? Or do they like me because of all this money that I have? And we all know the answer. People like these people because of their money, their fame, their influence, right? They want to be in their circle. But it has very little to do with them as a person. So again, I feel like sometimes in this country, we have these weird goals of, hey, I want to retire with $1 million so I can live the lifestyle that I want to live. The lifestyle that you want to live in your 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50s is the exact opposite of the lifestyle that you're going to live in your 70s, 80s, and 90s. But for some reason, everybody and their mother is under this fog. And don't get me wrong, I think people should invest in index funds, and I think people should pay themselves first, and I think you should try to retire a millionaire. But you need to keep in mind, there's going to be a point of time where you die with an awful lot of money in the bank. It would be a lot more celebratory if you took that money and helped your kids with it today rather than post-mortem. It's really kind of crazy, but I'm the only one that ever talks about it. Who cares about how much money you retire with as long as you have enough money to pay your bills, pay your rent, have food in your stomach, and be able to visit your family members. And quit thinking that you don't want to get married, and quit thinking that you don't want kids, because it leads to a miserable adult life. God, if I didn't have my kids to bother or my grandkids to visit with, it would make a tough life that much tougher. And a lot of us, my God, could you imagine if you didn't have any family members at your age? That's a life of misery. So while Miss O is missed, and she did a wonderful job as a teacher and such a beautiful gift to the schools, I think it would have been nicer if Miss O would have been a Mrs. O and had a huge family tree to give that money to. So great story, wonderful story. There's absolutely no negatives from it. But if you think about what it means to be a Miss O and to have no kids, and then on top of that to be frugal, right? So she has all this money growing in her retirement plan and all this money at her disposal. And because she was frugal and taught herself how to spend less than she made, my God, she never ended up spending it, which means she literally worked the last 2 decades of her life for free. Think about it. There's some sort of moral there, you know? And there's nothing wrong with what she did, don't get me wrong. But isn't it a little sad for somebody to work for free the last couple decades of their life? Hi, good morning. All right, so from Miss O, which by the way, still, that's a good story. Don't let my extra 2 cents ruin that story. It's a good story. So check this out. Here's good story number 2 that I think is just as good. Calhoun Volunteer Department, Fire Department in Missouri is headed by Fire Chief Mark Hardin. He heads a 28-man volunteer fire department. I believe he founded the department, and he was actually volunteer number 1. And since he founded it in the, I think, 90s or 80s, he has grown it to a volunteer fire department of 28 men, 28 people. They had a bunch of dilapidated old fire engines that were from the 80s and 90s. Many of them didn't work, and I believe they were down to literally just one that did, but it was kind of a patchwork system where they were constantly fixing something on this really old fire engine, right? So 91-year-old Sam Sloan, I love that name, Sam Sloan. Doesn't that just sound mafioso? Sam Sloan ends up donating $500,000 at the age of 91. And they were able to round up enough money to purchase 3 new fire engines. And at the end of the first quarter, if they wouldn't have received Sam Sloan's $500,000 gift, the volunteer fire department there in Calhoun only had $169 in their bank account. So again, Sam Sloan, very successful business person according to the article. At the age of 91, he donates $500,000. It didn't say that he had passed, so I'm assuming he's still alive. But again, $500,000 to get 3 fire engines, new fire engines, mind you. And now that volunteer fire department has the ability to really do some good for the community. That is a wonderful story. And Sam Sloan is still alive, I believe, because they didn't say he had passed away. But again, I think we can all agree at age 91, Sam is probably towards the end of his days. I don't think there was ever a time during his working career where he thought, one day I'm going to give $500,000 to some volunteer fire department in Calhoun. I think what happens is he probably ended up retiring a multimillionaire, and he ended up being able to give $500,000. Now he might have plenty of money to give to libraries and his own family too. So I feel like his story is a little different than Miss O, because I don't know if Sam Sloan was married with kids or family members or not. We just know that Miss O had no family. So again, With him, he might have had family members and a giant family tree. But either way, his story is still similar to Miss O's, that in regards to the 500,000, that means at some point during his life, he probably worked the last handful of years for free. Oh, and by the way, Miss O does share another story, abstractedly, if you think about it. I don't know if you guys remember this, but I've told you that a lot of times teachers struggle because they don't necessarily make that much money, right? And that's while they're working. But a lot of times they do have the teacher's retirement system, and a lot of times they are able to have quite impressive pension plans. And a lot of times they are able to retire a millionaire because of the school system. So yes, even though teachers might not make the most money up front, they have a much better retirement plan than you and I do. So that's something to think about, you know. A lot of times if you as a teacher get involved in a district, work there in that district for your, for your teaching career, a lot of times you might not feel very rich or successful while you're working. Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
But a lot of times you're able to retire incredibly successful. But again, it's just backwards. You think about it, all the things that we want and desire in life usually come before age 50 or 60. And once we're 50 or 60, I think what happens is we start to rationalize the fact that, you know what, John, I don't think I need a Ferrari. I don't think I need a third and a fourth house, And what happens is our goals change. And I can guarantee you one thing, there's a lot of people that end up being 50 or 60 and they never ended up starting that family or having children in their 30s like they thought they would, I don't really know the story that I'm trying to portray here, but I think you guys understand what I'm trying to say. We care too much about money and too little about family. Somewhere along the lines, we started being told that our careers were super important, and they are. But we also told ourselves mentally that we need to retire with this big nugget of money because we don't want to be one of these senior citizens that's relying on Social Security. But at the same time, let's say that you were one of these seniors that relied on Social Security. Back in the day, while you're working, if you did pay off your home and you did pay off your car and you were able to save a decent amount of money, even $50,000 or $60,000, right? We have these financial gurus and advisors that act like, oh, 50 or 60,000, you'll run out of that in a year or two. Well, yeah, I suppose if you're just spending your money on everything, but I mean, if I put $50,000 in your bank account, would you honestly just gobble it up in 1 year? No, you're still working in the whole 9 yards, right? Or in the case of a Social Security recipient, they're still getting their monthly check. My grandmother relied solely on her pension and her retirement, right? She worked for the state government of Arizona, and so she had this pension. So every month she got like a $1,400 or $1,500 check for Social Security, and I think she also got like a $1,200 check from her state pension. If you do the math on that, it's, $2,300, nothing spectacular, right? But she was able to take that money and she was able to go to the casino with my mom 2 or 3 days a week, right? Always had plenty of money because at that age, she didn't want to buy a car. And even if she had a new car, God, have you seen how some of these seniors drive? Many of them have no interest in driving anymore because they can't see, right? They can barely look over the steering wheel, and even if they can look over, they're blind as a bat, right? So she was able to live comfortably, pay off her house while she was working, pay off her car, right? Give her car to my mom, She was able to do things, and she was never close. I mean, literally never close to having $1 million in the bank, She would always brag that her Medicare paid for all of her hospital bills, which it did, right? And she lived to be 98 and a half years old. Never close to $1 million, I don't know how much money she ultimately had in her pension, but she pretty much drained it out for the last 30 years of her life, because one of the things that my grandmother did was she enjoyed her life. She didn't get in fights with people. She learned to turn the cheek. She walked quite a bit. Every day she walked to the bus stop, got on the bus, and took the bus to work, even though she owned a car. I just feel like the older generation, man, they were something super impressive. The older people are much more impressive than the younger people. The older people had different ideals. And you know what? Despite their ideals, they were still successful in business. The younger people want to be successful in business, but they throw away their family. And so what's going to happen is a deep sadness over the next 20 or 30 years, because we're going to start seeing a lot of people that age, still end up divorcing their partners, but now they're not going to have any kids, you know? So again, if you have kids, consider yourself blessed and lucky. I'm so glad that I ended up having children. I'm so glad that I have a grandchild now, and I hope that I have more. I used to want to retire a millionaire just like most people, but I have very little interest in that now, you know? If I had $1 million in my bank right now, I think I would find a way to kind of get out of work and do something I want, whether it be a YouTube channel or whether it be traveling or just hanging out with my family more. I don't have $1 million, obviously, but the people that do, they're interesting. They end up dying with that money in the bank. It's kind of like a squirrel that all he does is collect acorns and nuts, and he buries them right, and then he gets killed by the cat, and all of his acorns are just kind of stuck there. I don't know what I'm getting at there. I think both those stories were beautiful, right? It's cool when we see people do good things. But I would have been just as happy to find out that they both left all that money to their kids and grandchildren, you know? You know, I've met a lot of people that their family was very successful, but a lot of them, their moms and dad would cut them off at age 18. And that's kind of sad when that happens, because a lot of times, if those kids had that financial support or aid from their rich, successful parents, a lot of times they wouldn't get divorces themselves. And maybe you can kind of think about this, because maybe you never have. But either way, have a wonderful day.